Hello again, everybody. So I'm back again because someone asked on Tojo. It was actually Wesley or Clint, as she's also known. Pardon the chat noises in the background. Well, he asked for an audiobook format, so I figured it's in rough draft form anyway, so I may as well do at least most of the book in audio form. So here goes. Here's chapter 1. Following the prologue. Chapter title is Fox Slut Makes My Day, so that should tell you a little bit more about the novel. Zig bounced through the open tarp door. It was a couple hours past the suit's visit. Meg still wasn't back, and I was getting bored. Nafi and Zag were both in their own little worlds. Nafi had decided to join in the trip and munch down a handful of mushrooms an hour earlier. When Zig skipped in, her mini skirt askew, I jumped off the bed and cheered, "Ziggy! Hey, you missed the suit that's gonna make us hella rich!" "Aw, did I?" she said, pushing out her bottom lip, voice pouting. Zig was 17 and dropped out of high school sophomore year, but still acted the schoolgirl. That ridiculous plaid skirt, button-up denim vest, stopping well above her belly button, and her fluffy pigtails screamed jailbait. I just shook my head and gave her a kiss. "Oh well, I made out good today, chickie," she cried. Money flashed into her hand, from where I just didn't want to know. She waved it in my face. It was mostly 20s, but I saw at least a couple hundreds. My eyes flew wide. Mack truck heading straight for me mode. "How? Where? What?" I stuttered. Zig wagged her finger in my face next to the cash. "The lady never kisses and tells," she said, admonishing tone to her words. "Or in your case, fucks and tells," I said, chuckling. The girl burst into laughter, her red blonde hair a match for her twin brother Zag's, swaying back and forth. She nodded and marched over to my cousin. He was still staring into the empty tarp wall, occasionally mumbling incoherencies. Zig flipped the money against his nose 3 times. "Look, Noff, we're rich!" I laughed as the pothead just swatted the money away, muttering about ghosts. Zig looked over to her brother. He must have been really fucked up. Usually he would have been throwing a fit about Ziggy's trick. Zag, the typical protective brother, hated his sister whoring around. Still, he couldn't really say no to the money. We definitely needed it. I smiled knowingly at Zig and invited her to sit down next to me. We plopped into folding chairs around the card table. The recliner was for Meg's. No one else sat in it, even when she offered. "He was a nasty old guy," Zig started. I just rolled my eyes. Half her story started like this. "But he had a Benz and wore Armani," she said, flashing a leather wallet. "You fucking fox," I shouted, laughing. "You know you'll get caught one of these days, right?" "Fuck no, bitch, I'm the best there ever was." "Yeah, that's what they all say. I'm different. I'm cute." "Even if I got caught, they'd probably apologize and hand me their watch just for the inconvenience of being accused of thievery," she said, giggling. I rolled my eyes but did nothing but offer her a fresh joint. She was probably right. That was the really scary thing about Zig. No heterosexual man could stand to turn her in. If she cried, the police would probably give her a ride back to the cave and apologize for even touching her stash of drugs and cash. Zig took the joint and, always courteous, turned away from me to light it with a shiny new Zippo. I grinned a bit despite my fear of fire. She's holding my namesake. "I like your lighter," I said. "Oh, this old thing? It's nothing." "Do you want it?" she said, flashing those impossibly white chiclet teeth. "Nah, I'm alright. You'll get more use out of it than me," I said, winking. She nodded and laughed, the first 3 hits starting to make her even gigglier. "Okay then, I'll keep it, Zips." The lighter disappeared to some hidden spot in her bra. It was a surprise she even wore a bra. Usually she just let them hang free. Her breasts certainly played into her schoolgirl disguise well. They were peaches in a world of melons. "Good idea," I said. "So looks like we'll be eating pretty damn good for a while." "Oh yeah, chickie. Plus I snagged this for Nafi. Now he won't have to play that fucking music in the speakers." She pulled an MP3 player out of nowhere, earbuds dangling free like tiny testicles. My eyes widened. This was almost as great as the money she'd brought in. Nafi liked to listen to Asian meditation music. Sometimes it was alright when we were all mellow, but I had a mohawk for a reason. We were punks, and punks don't meditate. At least that's what we wanted people to think. It didn't sell our edginess well to have Buddhist monks echoing from the overpass. Great, Zig. Thank you so much. I know, I'm wonderful. Whatever would you all do without me? We collapsed into more laughter. Finally, Meg stepped back into the house. She looked at the boys and rolled her eyes. Zig and I giggled and waved her over to her chair at the table. I passed our resident mom type the joint. Surprisingly, she took it and inhaled deep. I raised a bleached eyebrow at her. She normally kept away from drugs. I don't know, girlies, she said. I braced myself. This was how she always started things when she had to say shit she knew we didn't want to hear. I don't like this whole chemical deal we're talking about. Silence fell. What? I shouted, Zig just sitting, mouth agape. Just listen, Zippo, Meg said, holding a hand up. Look, why the fuck would they give us a shit ton of drugs for free? Nobody's that generous these days. There has to be a catch bigger than it's addictive. Aw, shit, Mama, you're just ghostin', Zig said, that whiny teenage squeak in her voice. Ghostin' was our word for being paranoid. No, I'm not. That guy was slimy. Shit, you saw his suit, Zippo. I could have cut myself on those fucking creases, Meg said, her voice rising. All right, I said, patting the air. Let's not fight about this now. We'll talk about it when the boys are lucid. Have another toke, Megsy. In fact, why don't you finish that roach off? Pulling another joint out for Zig and I smiled at our surrogate mother. I used her cutesy name for a reason. When I resorted to words like Megsy, you knew I was desperate. I was a sarcastic bitch in those days. Megs nodded and smiled. She took a few breaths and pulled on the joint a few more times. We all relaxed and were soon falling out of our chairs. Mostly we poked fun at the suit guy's clothes and manner. It pissed me off sober, but high as a satellite, his uppity attitude was a crack up. We spent the rest of that afternoon imitating his tone and suffocating on laughter. Every time it seemed we'd calm down, one of us would repeat some platitude the guy said. We were rolling on the dirty ground before long, smoking roach butts forgotten on the card table. That was a good night. Okay, and that's the end of chapter 1. This is pretty long again, so I figure I'll cut it off there. I was thinking I might get in 2 chapters in one video, but it's just not going to happen. They're not quite short enough, so I will see you next time. Have an unbelievable day.